AI is involved, and a lot of the insurance companies adopted AI very early. So you're not actually getting a real human. A lot of the emails and responses that you're getting back are actually AI generated. You're fighting against a computer. Like, you're no longer picking up the phone and calling an adjuster. If you're just out there, turning and burning roofs, and you're not taking the time to do those things, it's hard enough to do insurance work. But if you are really paying attention to all of the ins and outs, and the insurance is supposed to be covering it, realistically, why aren't you asking for all the cascading damage? Did you have to fix it? We've all heard it, write it low and supplement it later. Stop it. It's like the worst thing you could ever, if this gets turned over to a lawyer and you end up doing that, now you look not only horrific, but you look unprofessional.
Welcome to the Roofing Success Podcast. I'm Jim Aline, and I'm here to bring you insights from top leaders in the roofing industry to help you grow and scale your roofing business.
Lisa Cimaroli, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Jim. How are you today? It's good to be back.
Good to be back. Look, you have you're all professional now. Like, you have studio equipment, you have the whole thing going on. It's a vibe now.
Yeah, we've come a long way over the years, for sure.
We all, the content creation stuff we were just talking about it, how there's a never ending cycle to it. So you can always upgrade something, you can always change something. It's fun, but always new stuff to know. So welcome back.
Thanks
You've been on a little bit different journey. Cornerstone is not, I don't want to say it's not your baby anymore, but you've been focused on some other things.
Yeah, so I made a pivot in the career, and I seen an opportunity in the market for doing expert witness work and consulting work. And I've been doing it for years for free for many years.
Yeah.
And it just ended up being the most natural next progression for us. So we've been doing expert witness work for multiple law firms across the United States, and have upped our game and being roofing experts and understanding how all of the building envelope goes together. I mean, I've been doing it for years now. So it's been really helpful. I'm helping homeowners on a different level. And then as of about 2 weeks ago, I accepted a position as the business-to-business developer for StormView, which is a part of PayPixel, which is a really awesome AI program that helps generate leads for roofing companies in a different way. So yeah, we're kind of doing a little bit of movement, some pivoting, but definitely helping the industry not any different than we were before, just on a whole different level of expertise for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was years in the industry. You built a very successful roofing company. Let's go back for everyone, the story of Cornerstone
Yeah,
the journey there, and then we'll
sure.
go on to the new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I got in the industry in 2014, knocking doors as a project manager, and I was working for another nationally pretty well-known storm restoration company. I did everything from production management to office management to being trainers to being, a leader in that industry and the first woman trainer for that company. I grew that company to 64 million. And then in 2021, I opened up my own roofing company, which was Cornerstone Restoration and Guardian Exteriors. And we grew from 0 to 30 million in 3 years and had locations in 4 different states. I had come to the conclusion that everything was kind of running on autopilot. We had set up a lot of programs that were doing really well. We used some pretty amazing systems like Eagle View and Job Nimbus and the integrations with SRS, and finally adding in PayPixel before it had become a real thing. And so at that point, I decided that it was time to kind of make a shift and add to the industry in a little bit different way. And I was approached to write some expert witness reports by ILG law firm, and they really fostered and harbored my growth and development on that. I had done some expert witness reports over my time, but I've done probably over, I don't know, 35 since August at this point. So I'm definitely in the weeds in a different way in the transformation of holding, building and code accountable, and being able
Mm.
to explain that in a way that not only the lawyers can understand, but the homeowners can understand. And there's a huge disconnect with a lot of contractors. They forget to read their code book. And if they did more of that in the insurance industry, they would have definitely a little more fight, that they would be able to hold the carriers accountable to. So it's a changing industry for sure.
Tell me
And
more about that. Let's go into
yeah,
that
sure.
right there. That's a pretty good statement to make, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
it's a
that's
changing
something that
industry.
we can, yeah,
Dig in on,
know
sure.
your code book.
Know your code book. It's really funny. I used to have code parties with my guys, and we'd have a big bonfire and hand out the code book every year and go line by line through the roofing codes and what are they and what do they mean and how is it actually put together and like what are the components and there's so many roofing companies that have sales reps but they don't educate their sales reps and so
Mm.
and it's not even that they don't educate them. They educate them on what they think is important, but they forget that, like, cascading damage is something that if you plan for it ahead of time and you understand what you're looking for, your claims oftentimes will be much bigger because you're actually building it properly. So we're not talking about building things that aren't required and necessary. Just knowing what's required and necessary is so important. Years ago, when we started this industry, or at least I got in 2014, we were so used to having an adjuster roll up in a truck and, write a exact made on site and hand you a check and you were off to the races. And over the years, that has really changed. Like, you really have to become an expert in the insurance process to be able to run an insurance claim the right way. And a lot of people don't think about those things. They're not onboarding their homeowners properly. So we're seeing a huge shift, especially with all the companies that I've coached over the last year, year and a half because the claims are getting harder and denials are much more fluent, so much so that, I mean, there's some really big case studies that are going on. And like I'm sure you've heard about what's going on in Oklahoma with the attorney general taking State Farm to court. And it's not the way it used to be. They don't just roll up and say yes anymore, right? So you have to understand that what you're asking for is required and necessary, as well as instant and accidental direct physical loss. And you need
Mm.
to know where, as a roofer, the line stops and you need to either get a public adjuster or a lawyer involved. And a lot of roofing companies recently have been partnering up more and more with the legal side of it because they can't just get things turned over or paid for properly. And so it's a partnership that I'm starting to see more and more in the industry versus years ago where it was, it just they'd pay for it and you'd get the work done and you do all the supplementing on your own. And every roofer that was doing insurance work learned Xactimate and you could argue a lot on the front end, but now it's just getting a little more challenging. So it's walking into a very different avenue and knowing that you need those partnerships with people that could take it farther. Otherwise, the only person that suffers is the homeowner. And so a lot of the standard roofing companies that have been doing insurance work over the years, especially now that I've been working with PayPixel and StormView, I'm finding that, roofers that were 80/20 insurance for years are now 20/80, right? Because they can't move files. or they don't know how to make the insurance do what it's supposed to any longer. And so a lot of these roofers are changing into retail, right? So there is a huge shift in the way that the industry is moving, and moving with that shift is really important. And education becomes the solid base, which is kind of where we're headed with Roof Rider Academy. It's really about educating people, and the more I can do for the law firms, the more I have the ability to educate for free instead of, charging people a ton of money to do education, because, the industry needs more people talking about code and why it's important. I think every one of the estimates I've looked at recently, none of them have OSHA standards on them, right? None of them have, all of the code upgrades for like the wind. And there's a thing called the ATC hazards report. It's free and everybody should be using it. And your minimum code requirement says 3 tabs are basically illegal in almost everywhere in the United States. We shouldn't even be putting them on, right? So if a roofer was doing those things properly, not only does his margins move, but he's actually getting paid, because most of them aren't putting 3 tabs back on. So why aren't they getting paid for it? That's a good question. Probably they just don't know how to ask for it. So it's a little bit different game that it used to be, for sure.
Why do you think claims are getting harder?
I don't necessarily think that the claims are getting harder. I think that AI is involved, and a
Mhm.
lot of the insurance companies adopted AI very early. So you're not actually getting a real human. A lot of the emails and responses that you're getting back are actually AI generated, right? So if that's the case, you're fighting against a computer. Like, you're no longer picking up the phone and calling an adjuster. The adjuster hands it off, and unless you're making phone calls regularly, and all these things. The other thing that's been happening a lot in the industry that I've noticed, especially with the larger carriers, is that there is one person that actually has the insurance license, and then they have an entire team of people that they can't make decisions. They're just kind of underlings, and they're all working under the license of whoever the manager of that department is. So it's not like it where, the carriers have been investing in their people either. So they're just going off of a script. So if you don't understand how it's built, how do you have an argument? And if you can't explain how it's built to the average person, and I don't mean another roofer, like, then you're not going to get past those barriers and blocks, because they're just being trained to say no, for sure. Because there's delay, deny, defend is a very real thing in
Yeah.
this industry. Yeah, the other thing that I've seen a lot of is one of their newest tactics is saying that obviously it's been an ongoing issue for years, but the roofers are creating damage. And so if you're a roofer that is really good at doing this and getting claims turned over, all of a sudden you've never had this issue before. Your team isn't creating damage, but they will, obviously they've been accusing people of doing that. Atlanta had a huge uh, overview of that. Many of my roofing friends in Atlanta just all went through it all at the same time. So it's like the carriers are talking, right? And the roofers are not talking to each other, right? This has always been our biggest issue, and part of the reason why we created Together We Go Further, because, if you're in the insurance world, you're up against a pretty huge beast, right? And they're all in it together to figure out how they can get out of paying for things, and the homeowners are scared, so they just assume that if you're a roofer, they believe the lies. And we as roofers, we haven't quite figured out that, we are really truly, if we get together and we work on it together and we start sharing some of those secrets and best practices and how did you get that paid for and why did they say yes to that, and historical data and information. The more we share that, the better it is for this entire industry to be able to stay afloat. I mean, the pendulum swings every couple of years, right? That's normal. And, there'll be times where they buy everything and then there'll be times where they buy nothing. But realistically, at the end of the day, it's how you onboard your homeowner and get them on, pace with you. And are you identifying damage before you're ever getting on the roof? Are you out there using AI technology? Are you as fast as they are? Do you have bots set up? Like, do you understand what you're looking for? Are you using proper, documentation and CRMs and things like that? If you're not, you're behind the eight ball and they're already going to win.
Yeah, definitely. You have to, the documentation has always been the key to all of it, right? Before we carry on with the episode, let's give a shout out to one of our sponsors.
Roofers, let's get real. You're great at building roofs, but are you great at building a steady stream of leads? That's where Job Nimbus Marketing comes in. They know the roofing industry inside and out, and they'll help you dominate Google, Facebook, reputation management, and everything in between. If you want more quality leads, more booked jobs, and more growth, visit the link in the description or the sponsors page on the Roofing Success Podcast website.
It's getting harder. And you'd mentioned the move, the shift of a lot of companies shifting towards retail, away from storm. I've been having this conversation for years. John Cenac and I had it at an event. I can't remember, it was RoofCon or Roofing Process or something years ago. It was like we thought a retail company that understands and knows how to do insurance work was kind of where the puck was going, right? Like that was kind of where the puck was going, because it was becoming more challenging to get claims approved and things like that. And just with different storm activity, if you don't have good storm activity in your market this year, you're out of luck if you only if you only do insurance work, right? So we, how do you see that shift? And do you think it's the right way?
Um, I'm a full believer that if you pay into your insurance and you have incurred damage that is covered under your policy, that 100% you should be covered under your policy.
Yeah.
But I'm a dying breed, and that's a reality. Because if they can't make the fight happen and they're sitting with the insurance for 6 months and they don't have a lawyer that can back them up or take it all the way to the finish line, that sits AR in a lot of companies way further out than the amount that they can swing, right? And so
Yeah.
that could be really devastating to a company. So a lot of the time they're switching into the retail model. And I've heard this a lot recently, that they'll just write a quote and then hopefully the homeowner takes the quote and gets it reimbursed. Um, and technically, by insurance practices, cost incurred should be paid for. But if they denied it and you went ahead and built your roof, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to get that money back unless your
Yeah.
roofer took their due diligence through all of it. So there is some things that I've been involved in recently, and it's the question of, now that we have all of these roofers that are switching into a retail model and have spent most of their life storm chasing, how are they going to acquire leads? What does that now look like? Lead services, as you know, are oftentimes trash. They're selling the same lead to 10 roofers, and the one that has the lowest bid's the one that's going to win. You do that long enough, you bid yourself to the bottom, you lose all your margins, and now you can't afford to pay your people. So sure, you're getting work, but are you actually making profit? And if you're not making profit, is it worth you staying in business? And we're seeing a lot of people either sell to PE or walk away entirely and retire, because they're finding their profit margins that way are very skewed and not sustainable long term, right? So
Yeah.
you have to think outside the box. You have to know your markets. when I got involved with StormView and PayPixel, it was kind of a really cool in between where you can fly drones in a neighborhood prior to working that neighborhood. And now I can identify every house that has damage. It's real time data. It tells me exactly how many missing crease shingles, if it's a 3 tab or an architectural or a tile roof that's cracked, and it only focuses on now instead of sending my guys out because I was traditionally a door knocking company, right? So
That's right.
that last year we did 45,000 doors. That's a lot of foot traffic. Okay. Like
Right.
not everybody can say that, but we tracked everything we did because I'm a numbers hound. So we did
Uh-huh.
45,000 doors. That's a lot of doors, right? And how many of those did we set appointments and we found out after we did the appointment they didn't have any damage? I would say almost 65 to 70%. So if you're thinking about it that way and you're looking for some other solutions, we need to start thinking a little differently in the industry. What are we using as technology and how are we harnessing it? And AI has come so tremendously far, but I know a lot of the companies out there, like they're using ChatGPT and that's it. They don't know, and it's not even like they're using it properly. They're using it for writing some emails, right? So
Yeah.
there's a huge shift in technology as well, and the roofers that get on board with the technology and they're working with companies that are continuously upgrading and having AI integrations. They're the ones that are actually making it over the hump in tough times.
And they will. The AI is gonna have to be integrated in a lot of ways. I've been watching it for a long time now. I had, I think the first AI, AI roof, how should I put it? Like, roof analysis software I had on the show, I think it was, like, 2020, right?
Yep.
2021, maybe 2021. They're not in business anymore. They were a little early to the game and didn't, but it's crazy how that's gonna go. But I think from a different perspective, from going from storm to retail and what you said about knocking so many doors, uh, m direct sales has been how roofs got sold, not through marketing. And
Correct.
so direct sales is door to door, and when you pull up your Hail Trace or Hail Recon, whatever it is, and you see, "Oh, this is where the storm hit," I now know where to go knock. At least I have an idea of who might need a roof. Like, we've narrowed it down from the Jacksonville metro down to this very specific area, right? We don't have to knock every house in the whole metropolitan area. We need to knock this neighborhood. And I know you
Actually, we
spent
have gotten it so dialed in
exactly. That'll get yeah.
that all of that is all in the program. So
Mhm.
no need for like hail trace and anything like that anymore. It's
Yeah.
all built in. It literally takes you directly to where the biggest storms are in your area and then maps it out instantly so that and it takes all the collected data of those homeowners and their emails and telephone numbers and
Yes.
as flyers and like you're now direct marketing instead of Facebook blasting, right? Like I
Yes.
like to tell people everybody spends all this money in marketing, but are you actually tracking your ROI? And
Yeah.
realistically, most roofers don't even track their ROI for for their profit properly. So to
Yeah.
expect them to add one more thing to their plate, it makes it really challenging.
For sure, and especially in going from storm to retail, retail is
Yes,
a whole different animal in terms of marketing. You have to become known to people who may need your service. It's not as easy as using the technology to identify who needs a roof today in a market that storms don't hit, right? Like,
correct.
it's like, "Oh, well, this neighborhood has homes of this age, and maybe their roofs are of this age, and maybe there's some people in that neighborhood," but it's a whole different experience. So, but I but n
Yeah, the
so
days
now
of
with
walking up and saying, "I can get your roof for your deductible," is
is
totally over.
that's right. It's changed so much, and so I still believe that having that retail base, but 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 the caveat to that is understanding how to work a storm properly and how to, one of the things that you do well and what we talked about is how you onboard homeowners, right? Like knowing when this is a valid claim, knowing that we're going insurance with this one, we're going retail with that one. Like that understanding is probably the most impactful thing. Talk a little bit about onboarding homeowners properly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, onboarding homeowners for me is number one, if they do have a claim, walking them through what a claims process should look like and what they should expect and not over promising and under delivering. So you never want to tell them that you're going to make it perfect and it's going to be right because it's not. But making them aware that, readjusts happen and things get missed and documentation is so key from the get. You want to make sure that all of your pictures are documented properly, that you have a ruler out on your pictures, that you have marked your test squares, that you have done a night inspection if you're doing siding. Um, and it's, aluminum. You want to be ready so that 100% that that's actually a viable claim and that that damage correlates with the storm. So when you get started, you're already ahead of the game. And then when you sit down with the homeowner and you're very professional about it and you set them up for success, and you're like, okay, let me walk you through this and explain to you why I believe that this is storm damage. And then I'm going to write all these things up ahead of time. As a roofer, you cannot argue price. It's illegal. That you are now stepping on the toes of the unfair UPA, right? So the unfair practice of public adjusting.
Mhm.
So if you are sending out information to the carrier in advance, which you should be sending them a scope of work with no prices on it so that they can identify what the components are, right? Because you as a roofer, your whole job is to understand how it's built, how those components work together, what is required and necessary to get that homeowner back to pre-storm condition. And explaining that to the homeowner up front is so important so that they know that if the insurance isn't paying for everything properly, that they might have to get involved. And that, if I'm making a call to the insurance and they're just not paying attention, they owe me nothing. So just remember, you're not the policyholder as the roofer, and they owe you nothing, regardless if you have a signed agreement, right? So if you let your homeowner know that up front that says, listen, hey, we're on the same team together. And to get you to the finish line, I might have to get you on the phone and explain this to an adjuster while you're listening so that you understand and they understand why it's so vitally important that I can't take 5 layers of roofing off without having a drop on your siding. And now I have to address what am I going to do with the exposed siding? And by God, you have lead under there. So, what is our next steps and how is that going to affect you and your personal health and those things? But if you're just out there, turning and burning roofs and you're not taking the time to do those things, it's hard enough to do insurance work. But if you are really paying attention to all of the ins and outs and the insurance is supposed to be covering it, realistically, why aren't you asking for all the cascading damage? Did you have to fix it? The answer is yes. Then why are we arguing about it, right? So if you're not documenting it, if you're not taking mid-roof inspection photos, if you don't have a drone that you're flying, so that you're never on a tile roof, like stop getting up on tile roofs. Footfall is like the number one cause of insurance carriers saying no to a tile roof is because some idiot roofer got up onto the tile and never was taught, like they never looked at the TRIA. They don't even know what a TRIA is. So they don't know what the tile association is. Nobody's ever taught them how to walk on a tile roof, and now they cause damage instead of helping their homeowner out. And if you don't have the right photos, then you're already at a loss. If you don't have the right programs, you're already at a loss.
I know you're enjoying the episode, but let's give a shout out to another one of our sponsors. I talk to contractors every day that feel stuck. Not because they're not working hard, but because they're missing the structure to growth without chaos. Or their culture's falling apart because their team's unclear, unaligned, or just burned out. And when change hits, they're reacting instead of leading because time and priorities aren't under their control. Day 41 Thrive helps to fix that with proven strategies for growth, culture, and leadership that actually work. Ready to thrive beyond the storm? Visit the link in the description or visit the Roofing Success Podcast website on the sponsors page to start your journey today.
You talked about, now that you've been doing some of the expert witness work, and that, which is true, of course, is that lawyers aren't technical, right? They're not roofers. They don't know the technical aspects. They're arguing a case. They're bringing in expert witnesses and things like that to get the facts of the situation. What do you think the top 3 documentation mistakes most roofers make?
Documentation number 1, they never have a sworn proof of loss. They don't even know what that is. And the sworn proof of loss, without it, the entire thing doesn't even start. The insurance carrier doesn't have to come out, take a look at a property. They don't even have to have an acknowledgement until the homeowner has a sworn proof of loss. That's number 1. Number 2 is they don't have the right photos. If I see one more photo of a shingle this close up and like 400, I always get this file, right? Every new roofer that sends over a file, it's like 400 like broken or missing shingles, but I have no idea where in the damn roof they put those. So like, why don't you pretend like you watched Grover as a child, right? And you do the near and far, so that I know where, when I'm having that conversation, like I can't identify where that's at, and neither can the insurance company. You have to assume that they can't see what you see. So, like, if you aren't using a drone or you're not like telling me where the roof that is, that's documentation fail number 2. And documentation fail number 3 is not writing a proper estimate. Every roofing company that's been doing this a long time has believed the lie, which is if I write a low enough estimate that the carrier is going to say yes, right? We've all heard it, write it low and supplement it later. Stop it. It's like the worst thing you could ever do. If this gets turned over to a lawyer and you end up doing that, now you look not only horrific, but you look unprofessional, right? You knew that it was going to be all those things. You can't take ice and water shield out of your estimate and then add it later when we all know it's code. You got to do it, right? Like that's not why are you just putting some shingles on there and some drip edge, and then later on you're doing a $40,000 supplement? Well, what are you doing, right? So when you're writing your estimates in the very beginning, you're setting the bar for the insurance carrier to put their minimum. So if you write an estimate that's 15,000, then you come back with another 15,000 in supplements, it's so much harder to fight from 15,000 to 30, which was what was required and necessary, versus starting at 30 and being like, can I do it for 29 and take off the overhead and only do it for the 10% profit, right? Like it's a different conversation. That and why are you not adding O&P in? And don't tell me it's because it's a roof only. The answer is it complex? Do you have to have a dumpster coordination? Do you have to coordinate with the homeowner? Do you have to coordinate with the building department? Do you have to make sure that your guys are in OSHA standard? Are you doing a safety check every morning? Do you have to be on site? Why are you not charging for those things? And why are you accepting it? And every time you do accept bad behavior from the insurance, they have an internal list that knows what you're going to accept or not. And from them then on, once you accept the bad behavior, now they know that you're willing to do it for less, right? And less doesn't mean better. It The insurance is never going to pay a dollar more than they have to, and they're the ones that set the standard in the price list, right? So if you're working off of their price list and Xactimate, there it's no longer arguing, I don't want to argue with you about price. I want to argue with you about components and do I need them?
So that seems like the main thing. And I've had conversations with Matt about this, different like it's it's always presenting the right presenting the right case, right? Like
Upfront.
you're upfront. Like this is what it is. This is why. This is the documentation that supports it. And if you put everything together properly up front, you have less problems through the process. You'll always meet resistance in the insurance claims process because that's how it's built. Like there will always.
But it's much easier if you explain to your homeowner and in your Xactimate or whatever, even if
That's
you
right.
don't use Xactimate, but if you have the codes built in and you say to the homeowner, these are the components and this is the code that goes with that component. Would you like me not to do that? And they're like, no, I need it to be built right because one day I might want to sell my house. And you're like, exactly. Okay. So if you know you need it and I know you need it, now they're fighting with you on making
Yeah.
sure that they're getting what they want
And
and what
and
they
the
need.
city or county or municipality says we need it. Like there's no.
There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
There is a amount of, if you are in a small area, and when I was working up in Jamestown, New York, you can change the narrative. We did. So they had a building department in Jamestown, New York that would not come out and do inspections. They said
Mm,
they were too small. They didn't have time. They didn't do all these things. They also didn't charge much for permits, right? But now they now have 3 new building inspectors because we forced the issue and said, "We want you to do mid-roofs. We want you to do finals. We want you to hold the roofers in town accountable. We want to push the fact that code is important." And now it's changed the narrative. They now have 3 inspectors that are out there. They realized there was an issue. They figured out how to adjust it. They charged a little more for their permits. We put a couple of extra people to work. And now all of the roofers that were just doing it on a Thursday when the adjuster was, or when the inspector wasn't working, and they knew what was going on. There was nothing they could do about it because there's constraints, right? So if you're in some small
yeah.
towns, you have the responsibility. Spend time with your code office, get them involved,
Mm.
tell them why you need them, and, bring them cookies every once in a while. It really helps. Yeah.
Be nice, right? Make friends.
Dude, you get so much more. Just bring a batch of cookies. If they ask, just tell them Lisa told you to.
That's right. Then and so as it seems like to me, this seems like the same conversation, Lisa. It's the we that this conversation has been going on for many, many years now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, right, why aren't why aren't contractors adopting this? Why aren't they doing the things necessary to have a better process and have better relationship? Because I think it even creates better relationships with the insurance companies, right? Like, when you're
Yeah.
actually saying and very knowledgeable about what you're supposed to be doing in every facet and every step of the way, why has this been such a struggle in our industry?
Because, there's a reality to it. It takes time to know your craft, and it takes time to invest in a team. And it takes a team that's willing to think outside the box past getting a signature on a piece of paper. And that goes back to every owner has a responsibility to create a culture that is a culture of growth and a culture of knowledge. And if you're not creating that culture, it's really hard to get people to get out of the mentality of just this is just money. And a lot of people are turning and burning sales reps because they're not investing. That goes right back to the first conversation we've ever had is investing in your people, right? And a lot of roofing companies, they are investing in a lot of things, a lot of programs. Stop buying programs you're never going to use. Like, buy programs you're going to use and invest them in your people and teach them how to use it and then hold them accountable. But here's the thing, if you're a roofing company that is not set up where you have an SOP or you don't have a workflow chart or you don't know who's on first and you are the CEO, which is, Liz said this and it was the best thing ever, the chief everything officer,
Mhm.
right? Like, if you're not giving your tasks away and assigning it to the right people and identifying the strengths in your team, you don't have time because you're the only one the buck stops here. So why are you not adapting? The answer is because you've forgotten what the importance of education is along the way. And you the amount of roofing companies that would rather go to a roofing convention. We've got like 3 of them lined up. I'll be speaking at SRC, so I'm very, I understand how this goes. You go to a convention, you have one of 2 options. You can either go to the convention and use it as a really heavy networking and way of gaining access and knowledge in the industry and start learning and asking questions. Or you can go to the roofing convention and use it as a vacation with a bunch of drinks afterwards, and you walk away and you got a bunch of cards, but you don't remember what they were for, and you bought 3 new programs that you're never going to use. But you did something while you were there. So go with a game plan and,
Yeah.
like, start figuring out, do you want your company to survive? And it means taking the fun parts off of your plate. And it doesn't mean we can't have fun. It just means we do it responsibly and spend time with other people that are, smarter than you. Like, I want to be in a room full of people all the time that know more than I do. And, I seek out those rooms regularly. And yeah, you feel pretty dumb sometimes, but you walk away with some nuggets of knowledge. So, the more you do that, the more you get yourself in front of those people, the better it's going to be for all of us.
How do you then take that and pass it on to your team well? Because I think that's a challenge too with an owner, even if the owner is extremely knowledgeable. It's that transfer of knowledge that a lot of times is the challenge. What can a contractor do to put themselves in a position to transfer that knowledge to their team in a more efficient way?
I know you're enjoying the episode, but let's give a shout out to another one of our sponsors. If you and your team aren't trained on AI yet, you're already falling behind. Competitors using AI are generating more leads, closing jobs faster, and running leaner. The AI roofing revolution gives your team the training to implement AI so you stay ahead, not scramble to catch up. Don't wait until you're losing. Get trained now at the link in the description or the sponsors page of the Roofing Success Podcast website.
What can a contractor do to put themselves in a position to transfer that knowledge to their team in a more efficient way?
So let's say you stink at this and you go to a convention and you get all this knowledge, you sit through some classes. You may not be the guy that's a note taker, right? And that's okay. But now that AI exists, you have the ability. There is so many programs. I wear one. It's called Fieldy. You can get anything. I'm not promoting anybody, but it's just an AI necklace, and I can turn it on and off, and I can have important conversations, and it will go through and script everything I talked about. I use things like Loom. You say it once, you record it, and it creates an SOP off of your recording, and it even takes screenshots. Like, it's ridiculous. You can get it for free. But I think that a lot of the time, what people forget is you get the hype of being at the event. If you're not a note taker and you can't get that down and you're the owner and you don't have time, take one of your guys that is. and stick them in the classes and give them the power and tell them they're coming back and they have the honor of going to the event, but then you give them a task or a chore. I would take my entire team, or the ones I would put a competition out, and they loved doing it because that meant they got to go to dinner and go to an event wherever we were at, and we do something fun. But when we got back from the conference, it was vital that when we got back from the conference, each of them had to give a presentation on something that they found of interest or learned while they were there. It made them feel good because they became the knowledge bearer and the person that was able to like share some cool new thing with
Yep.
the guys at the office. And I didn't have to do it, and they would write it up, and then guess what? Those are the guys that ended up being my next level managers long term. The guys don't do it. You take them with them, they don't do it. They're never going to be the ones, you never want your top sales rep that doesn't care about other people to be your first manager. That's the worst thing you could ever do.
Yeah.
You want your mid-range guy that actually wants everybody to go along on the journey with them, that's willing to go out of his way and teach. He's your next manager, right? That's a reality. If you wanted an office that's going to run without you, instead of it just being uh, you know, about sales, like sales is
Yeah.
great, but there's way more to it than that.
So now you talked about getting the information from the events, doing presentations. How do you take that and implement into the day to day? Like whatever is learned at these, like how do we bring it and build it into the SOPs? How do we build it? How do we integrate it into our day to day?
So it depends if you guys are using any type of charts or workflows. You pull in your top guys and you make a decision of where and if that is a program that the guys even want to use. Um, a lot of the time, I see owners, and I've done a lot of coaching over the years. An owner will go to a conference, they'll pick up something that's really awesome, and then they bring it back and they force implement it. It's way better if you organically implement it, meaning I bring it back and I show it to the team, and then I say, what do you think is going to be the best, and how is this going to help your day to day? And do you think this is worth us investing in? And if I had to choose between this and something else, what does that look like? And so those are all things that people forget, is that if you implement together, you're going to get a much better result, and your team champions it instead of you just forcing new programs on somebody.
I think that's a big aha moment is not this is the way it goes. It's how should we do this, right?
Yes.
And if you can get that that culture going in your company, you'll see that's exponential growth. That can lead to exponential growth,
Oh
right? Like
yeah.
it's not because it's not linear. There's you now all of a sudden you have more people contributing to the process and they feel so bought in. Um, you know, but that can be tough sometimes, Lisa.
It can be,
Ha-
especially if you're a one or two man band, right? Like
Yeah.
now you have to make a choice of where are you going to spend the most amount of your time. Are you working in your business or on your business? And the amount of owners that are still working in their business get to about 3 million and get stuck because you can only do so much. And at about 3 million, there's some milestones now that I've done it a couple of times. The milestones are usually right around 3 million, then right around like that 7 to 10 million, and then right around that 25 million, because those companies are run very differently.
Mm,
And just because you had a really good year or a ridiculous storm and you did 10 million once, is it repeatable? And if the answer is you didn't repeat it, then are you really a $10 million company?
yeah.
But ego says you are. Reality says by about 7 months after your 10 million, you're cutting half your staff because you didn't put the fail safes in place to get you to where you needed to be.
So what's important at 3? What's important at 7 to 10, and what's important at 25?
So, 3, probably the most important thing at 3 is starting to identify your next level of leaders and making sure that you're investing in them to start running the business in your absence and giving them the power to make decisions the way that you would. It also means you start the basic framework if you haven't already. And I highly recommend you start the framework before you ever get started, but that's not the way this works, right? So we get in, you're like, I was going to be a roofer. I am now. And now what do I do? So identifying who's on first, who is in charge of your production, what does that role look like? Identifying the roles, starting to write out actual um, roles and getting people signed into agreements and holding them accountable. And the accountability factor at 3 million is where the big shift happens because now it's off of your plate and you're managing managers instead of managing yourself, right?
Mm,
And then from that 3 to 10 million, you are now looking at how scalable are you? Are you selling at every job on feelings or facts? And how are you following up with your people? And do you have a training program in process? Um, I cannot tell you for years and years and years, throw them at the wall and see what sticks, right? There's nothing worse than going to a new roofing company. They throw you in a car with a guy. The guy knocks 10 doors with you and he's like, good, you're trained. And, that's how I was taught. That's how I was taught. That was,
uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure you probably were taught that way too, right? Like sink or swim. Good luck, buddy. Kick you out the door. You want to be a big company though. You can't do that. You have to start thinking about at this step, this is required. And you start writing the SOPs and you start, every single step has a plan of action and that plan of action becomes executable and it's accountable. It's not that owners shouldn't hire. You should hire fast, absolutely, but you should also let them go fast when they don't stick to the plan. But most owners don't let people go fast because they don't know if they've been held accountable or even taught. Like how do you know if that guy in the truck taught him what he was supposed to teach him if you didn't give him a
That's
checklist of
right.
what that should look like? If you hadn't round robin, are you not doing metrics and KPIs? And do you have a meeting rhythm? And I'm going to tell you, Scaling Up by Vern Harnish, like go out and read it. It's going to be the difference between your 10 million and your 25 million. At 25 million, you're not out there hiring. And I see this all the time. People hire from outside, like CEOs and CFOs and like people that aren't in their business and aren't from this industry and temporary CEOs, like that's a nightmare. They don't know what your business is. They're not in it day to day. They're not in the ground and the guys don't respect them either, right? So if you're not leading them, like what are you doing? So the $25 million mark, now you have all of your systems and processes in place. You are now multiple locations. They should be running um, on a pretty consistent basis. Now you start putting in the fun stuff like rewards and rewarded behavior and culture should have already been there, but now you can celebrate culture and do bigger things and start getting, we had a first wives club and all the spouses got involved because storms are hard. These guys are working long hours and I'm a woman in this industry and I'm going to tell you I am not the hottest thing since sliced bread. I'm old at this point. Like I am not that person. But the amount of times that like if their wife wasn't involved or I didn't have dinner with their wife and I'm a business owner as a woman, there are some challenges to that. Because I'm spending time with your husband. Like late nights, early mornings, like out on site. Like I had hands in every part of my business, right? So there was some jealousy things like, yeah, think about those things. But if you're a guy in the business, you have the same issue if you're hiring
That's
women.
right.
Okay. So being involved, having SOPs, starting to learn how to use all of the technology that's out there, building agents to do the things that you don't want to do. If you are acquiring leads, like if you get if you get good at taking in leads and you get good at turning things over and signing them regularly, how big can you actually go? Are you already building out like your next level of crews? Are your crews part of your family? Like, or are they just the cheapest guy that was willing to do it this week? Well, right? Like you're laughing, but it's
Yeah.
real. Like I've seen it. Like instead of building long-term relationships, people go on what's the cheapest, and that doesn't give you what you need. Building long-term relationships with all of your programs that you're working with. The programs will help you. Job Nimbus, I can't tell you how many times they've helped us. Eagle View's been involved in every step of the way. Like SRS went out of their way for us and, did things that nobody else could do because we had been loyal to them for years. So when you think about those things, that's also really important. The 25 million is where you start having a say and giving back in this
Mm,
industry, right? And if you can't give back at that point, what's your worth? Are
yeah.
you starting to partner with other companies? Are you starting to think about branching off and opening? And everybody has gutter problems, right? Nobody can get a gutter company. They're great for like 5, 6 jobs, and then all of a sudden they find the bar and now they don't show up for 2 weeks. Now you got to hire a new gutter company. So, what if instead of us having that fight every day, we just start a division that's a gutter company? God knows we need one, right? Or a dumpster division or whatever. Like, are you thinking about expanding out? Are you thinking, like, where is that expansion look for you? And how are you going to, build onto your business by investing in your business in other ways?
That um, that made me think of risk management at 25. 25
Absolutely.
sounds like it's a switch into risk management a lot versus the scaling, right? You've gotten the scaling is there. You're
Yep.
able to scale. Now you have to manage the risk. The risk might be shitty crews, right? Like that's a big risk. Like
It's a
that's a
big risk.
like that's a big risk.
Being
And
OSHA certified, making sure that
it's a
you're doing safety every morning. Do you have
mm,
like the bigger you get, the more of a target you become. So now, even if you are a mom and pop feel, you still have to have some corporate things in place. Like, do you now
that's
have an
right.
HR department? Like,
Yeah,
because there's going to be somebody. When you get 100 employees, something's going to happen at some point, no matter how amazing you've set it up. But you do have to think about if you want to go past that 25 million mark, are you thinking about what does it look like at 100? And how
yeah,
many people do you have to divide, like division, right? Like, are you going to divide and conquer each of the departments? Who's going to be in charge? Now you may have an internal person for your marketing. Now you start going internal for people that are working your websites. Now you start, and they're yours, right? So now you're expanding into areas as an owner you may not be the most expert at. I knew nothing. I'm just going to tell you, it was so funny. I think I was at a Job Nimbus summit, and I think you were there. And they're like, "So, Lisa, you are doing, 7 to 10 million. How much do you spend on marketing?" And I'm like, cookies." They were like,
yeah.
"What?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I don't pay marketing people at all. I don't need them. Like, I deliver cookies and I have really great partnerships and we built it organically, but we also did, a lot of pavement time." Like,
That's
there
what it is. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of ways you can run the business. You just have to know what's going to be best for you and how much time do you want to spend. By the time you're at 25, if you're an owner at 25, your job is to kiss babies and put on events and show up and rah-rah your team. Your job is no longer to be the everyday operations guy. Even at 10 million, you're already stepping out and spending time networking and figuring out what's the next program. And if you're in insurance, are you following what's going on in the laws? And are you watching the news? And are you on like the APA? And like, are you getting involved in your code councils? Are you starting to be involved in like your networking in the areas? And how are you exposing yourself to what you need next? Are you hiring a coach?
Mhm.
Hiring a coach at every level, I encourage it. And when your coach can no longer teach you, go hire another coach and make sure, like, when you're
Mhm.
thinking about, pulling in coaches, think about, not the gurus out there. And I'm gonna say this because it irritates the piss out of me. If you are a guru out there and you've never ran a roofing company, but you are a damn roofing guru, stop it. How do you give somebody advice on something that you weren't part of, right? So stop working with the people that haven't taken out the trash, pounded the pavement, worked the long hours, tore off the roofs. I've had my fair share of huge cannons, and crying homeowners when we nailed through a sprinkler system and their whole home got flooded. Like, how do you don't work with coaches that haven't been through the hard times? Like, you don't
Yeah.
need rah-rah. You need people that can actually, when the hard times come, they can work you through, all of it, not just the momentum, but the numbers, and being very clear and conscious about your KPIs and your metrics early, and get your guys involved in their metrics early, because numbers don't lie and numbers don't care, right?
Mhm.
So stop telling me what you sold and start telling me what you collected.
What do you think the best roofing companies in 2026 will be doing that the average companies won't?
Hmm. Um, Leaning into AI for sure. Um, Figuring out how to overcome the lead drought in a different way. I'm more than happy to have any conversations with people. I'm not here to pitch, but if you get stuck, you want to talk about, let's talk about it, because we're looking for some better solutions and good info. I think that a lot of companies are the ones that are going to survive, are the ones that are willing to pivot and stop um, old dog, new tricks, right? Like, you have to move with the market, do your research, stay on top of it, make friends in the business, stop pretending like you're the only one that's doing well when you're not, and putting your hand up and being like, hey, I'm drowning. What are you guys doing? If you have another roofer in your area, you guys should be collaborating. Stop being enemies, start collaborating, because, there's more work than there are us. Okay. So there is no amount of like, if I'm out there working the pavement, you're out there working the pavement. To be honest, Jim, you and I could work in the same neighborhood for 4 years consecutively, and there would still be work for us both to do. There's no reason to be an asshole. Um,
Yeah.
so the more collaboration they do going forward, the better it's going to be for all of us.
Awesome. Lisa, thanks for your time today. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast.
Thank you for tuning into the Roofing Success Podcast. For more valuable content, visit roofingsuccesspodcast.com. While there, check out our sponsors for exclusive offers, shop for merchandise, and sign up for our newsletter for industry updates and tips. Also, join the Roofing Success Facebook group to connect with other professionals and stay updated on the latest trends. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. Your support helps us continue to bring you top industry insights. The website link is in the description. Thanks for listening.